Just a minute. ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितमेन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामीति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषण्यवादी पश्चात्यदेशतारिणे वञ्चाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासुदेव गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। रामाय रामभद्राय रामचंद्राय वेदसे नाथाय रघुनाथाय सीताय पतये नमः। So today we will start the second session. Yesterday we saw how Valmiki Maharshi stands out compared to all other authors, the bona fide and certainly the unbona fide. We also studied how Valmiki's Ramayana is connected to the realities of life. Yes, it is surely poetic. The compilation is poetic, but in regards to the principles of life are not necessarily poetic. Means it is not imaginary. It is not romantic, where people hope this should happen, that should happen, why it is like that, why it is not like this. He speaks from that universal reality and he brings out in a poetic form, connected with the story of Lord Ram. It is so harmonized, it is in sync, at the same time it is beautiful, it impacts our existence. And keeping this principle in mind, the second topic, avatara becoming a king. In Valmiki's Ramayana, as we study, those who believe that Lord Ram is the supreme, his avatar, that understanding does not suffice when you start studying Ramayana. Because when you start studying Ramayana, you will encounter many human emotions exhibited by Sri Ram. Unless someone has a proper Sadguru or a student who has studied under Sadguru, understanding the nuances of avatara tattva, it is extremely bewildering. And therefore today we will study one part of such bewildering incident, but at the same time very fascinating if you understand the harmony between the humanness and the divinity of Lord Ramachandra. The episode is in the Valmiki's Ramayana. Lord Ramachandra is there with his dharma patni, Janaka Nandini, and Lakshman. When they came to Paranakuti, Nasik, Panchavati, it was ordained by Agastya Rishi. So when they came there, one day Mother Sita Devi, she saw a golden deer moving around. Seeing that golden deer, she was very fascinated. And she called for Sri Ram and Lakshman to come and see that deer. And not only she was fascinated by that deer, she wanted that deer. Instantly Lakshman told Lord Ram, my dear brother, you never see such a mriga. Right? We have never seen such a Muruga in our life. In fact, it is explained that Lakshman was internally telling Lord Ram, my dear Lord Ram, in your creation, you have not created anything like this. In your history, such Muruga doesn't exist. Ratna Vichitra Nasti Raghava. And he said to Raghav, he called him Raghunandana Prithvipate, giving that indication. We have never seen like this. And also, my dear Lord Ram, what I know, this is none other than Maricha, the Rakshasa. And their connection to Maricha was not just the recent one. Sri Ram and Lakshman had encountered Maricha in the beginning of their life. If you go back to Balakand, when Vishwamitra Maharshi came, that time Lord Ram killed Subau and Tataka and allowed Maricha to live. Maricha was shown compassion by shooting a Manava Astra. Now, Manava Astra is the power to discipline, but Manava Astra, Sri Ramachandra did not use to kill Maricha. He spared him. And that is one question where people ask, why Lord Ram did not kill Maricha? Why did he spare him? He should have killed him. Valmiki Maharshi is silent about this. So now here, Lakshman is telling Sri Ramachandra, I know for sure it must be that Rakshasa, Maricha. And I've heard about him that Maricha, he has killed so many kings. He makes them chase behind him by creating a Maya Murga. And when these kings chase this Murga, that Maricha takes them far away, makes them exhausted and kills them. Therefore, my dear Sri Ramachandra, there is no point in chasing after this deer. Sita Devi stopped Lakshman. She glorified this beautiful creature was nothing but Mayavi, Rakshas. And she told, and Valmiki Maharshi writes there, being attracted by Kama Vritta means Svechachar. In one sense, recklessness. This word is used by Valmiki Maharshi. So, he says it was not desirable by the responsible person. And especially a woman like Sita Devi would not ask for it. But she was asking Sri Ramachandra to get that deer. And even though it was not desirable, it was very difficult. It could cause great trouble. But she wanted the deer. She told, if you bring this deer dead or alive, if you bring this deer alive, I will take it to Ayodhya. It can stay with us. But if you cannot bring it alive, if you kill the deer, then we can carry the skin and we can place it on our chatai and we can have a nice time with each other. Sita Devi was telling Sri Ram, and Lord Ram told Lakshman, my dear Lakshman, since this animal is exceptionally beautiful and Sita Devi has desired, the beauty of this animal will become cause of its death. So profound, Lord Ram said this to Lakshman. And he said, hey Lakshman, this animal is so beautiful, this Jantu is so beautiful. Imagine the tongue of this animal is like a Agni Shikha. The belly, the udara of this animal is as white as the pearl or the conch. And since my wife is asking, it is my duty to fetch it. And if you are saying it is a Maricha, it is okay. If it's a Maricha, then I will kill him. If it's a golden deer, I will fetch him back. And Lord Ram quoted a story also. When Agastya Rishi was performing, he was traveling across Ilval and Vatapi, they tried to cheat people. They had killed so many Brahmanas, the sages. Eventually, Agastya Rishi digested Vatapi. Vatapi Jirno Bhava. Sri Ram told his story. He said, but since Sita has asked for this deer, it is my great desire to fetch it. And meanwhile, when I go to the forest, my dear Lakshman, guard Sita Devi properly. And the hint was given in one shloka. Lord Ram said, the Gridda, the great Jatayu is also there. He is Buddhiman, he is intelligent and is very powerful also. And Sri Ramachandra, he left to the forest, into the dense forest where Maricha started running here and then everywhere. Now you know the deer. A deer is chanchal. Therefore Lord Ram said that there are two stars. There is Mrigashira, there is Tara Mriga, and there is real Mriga. Both are very beautiful. And he started running behind the deer, looking for it. This deer would come close to Sri Ram and then jump away from go to another place. In this way, this deer was causing such a deception, running here, everywhere, exhausting Sri Ramachandra. When you read Ramayana, as a novice reader, having this information that Lord Ram is non-different from Supreme God, this will certainly bewilder people if they do not understand the nuances of avatara. We'll come to that part. Ram started chasing. He was going everywhere. He got exhausted. At one place he stopped. Being tired, exhausted. Valmiki Maharshi uses the word akrosh, mohit, thake hue. Right? So then Maricha came closer to Sri Ram, and eventually Sri Ram took one powerful arrow and shot Maricha. And this was not necessarily Manavastra. It was the astra which would take away his life. There was no question of capturing it alive. So Ram shot that Maricha, killed him, and while dying, Maricha did not remember Lord Ram. Did not die in the hands of Ram, hoping to achieve liberation. We have to read Valmiki Maharshi's Ramayana. Valmiki's Ramayana does not give you accidental liberation. Your intention, your motivations, your purpose, it is not an accidental liberation which will be achieved. So this Maricha, as he was dying, he realized his responsibility towards Ravan. He said, my purpose is to separate Ram, Lakshman from Sita. While dying, Maricha was thinking about serving Ravan, dying in the hands of Lord Ramachandra. So which is more powerful? Do you want such a liberation, to be killed by Ram, thinking of serving Ravan, and you get a liberation? Such a liberation is not desired by a bhakta who has a sharanagati. He wants to serve Ram. He wants to serve Krishna. He doesn't want to cause any inconvenience. Maricha caused such an inconvenience between Sita and Ram. He separated Sita and Ram. He caused anxiety to Lakshman. Maricha became responsible for Sita Devi to speak such a blatant, cruel words against Lakshman. And when Lakshman came looking for Ram, Sri Ram chastised Lakshman. Imagine. And if you get a liberation by such behavior, then that liberation is as bad as being a hardcore materialistic. Right? When Maricha recited loudly the names of Hey Sita, Hey Lakshman, Hey Sita, Hey Lakshman, in the voice of Sri Ram, he realized it is a danger now. And you can see that this entire episode exhibits pure human emotions, having no signs of the presence of supremeness, right? But when you continue to read Valmiki's Ramayana, when you understand the foundational principle, this very story transcends you. It helps you to transcend. I'll continue a little bit. And then when Lord Ram heard this, here Sita Devi heard the voice of Marich, which was appearing to be the voice of Lord Ramachandra. And because she had made this decision, in fact, in the fifth canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Shukadeva Goswami explains what is the purpose of Lord Ram's appearance. Martyanam Martya avataram. He appeared as a human being, but is not a human being, to teach the living entities the complexities of dealing with the family life. Right? If you are not matured in dealing with that, it creates great complexity. And Sri Ramachandra was teaching this because Sita Devi wanted something which does not exist in the creation. When you aspire for something it does not exist, immortality like Hiranyakashipu, it will cause disaster. You aspire for great fame forever, doesn't exist. It is Maricha only. And because of aspiring that and Lord Ramachandra trying to fulfill it, he came into trouble. The person who was aspiring for that came into trouble. And the person who was protecting them, Lakshman, also came into trouble. So Lord Ram started moving very fast back to Paranakuti. And unfortunately, what happened? Rather than meeting Sita Devi in the Paranakuti, he met Lakshman in the middle. And Lord Ram was aghast, saying, Lakshman, what are you doing here? Why are you here? You knew my power. I could do anything and everything. Why are you here? And Lakshman told the outburst of Sita Devi, what she spoke to Lakshman, saying that you are waiting for my husband to die so that you can have me. This is the conspiracy created by you and Bharat to see that Ram does not survive so that you can enjoy the kingdom and you can also enjoy me. Imagine Lakshman served Sita Ram for so many years. This was the last part of their exile. Out of the 14 years, they already completed 13 years, I think, for 2 months also. And there was impeccable behavior from Lakshman, but he had to hear. And by hearing this, what happened to Lakshman? He also reacted. He decided to walk away from there, praying to the devatas, praying to the directions, but knowing very well that Sita will not be safe. Right? So when Lakshman and Sri Ram met with each other, Sri Ram was very upset, very angry. He said, you knew that I can do anything. Why are you here? You should have not taken seriously the anger of Sita Devi, but it was too late when they started coming back. When you study the great lamentation expressed by Sri Ramachandra on the way to Paranakuti, it is one of the most painful description. Lord Ram came there and certainly he did not see Sita Devi in the Paranakuti. And because he did not see Sita Devi in the Paranakuti, he was looking for her here and there, everywhere, fearing that the Rakshasas must have killed her, must have eaten her up. When you read that part of the Ramayana, without having any understanding of the concept of avatar, it is but natural one will raise this question, how can God behave like this? How is it possible? It is 100% guaranteed if an outsider without coming from the culture of Sanatan Dharma suddenly picks up the Ramayana They have heard only a little bit that Lord Ram is God. When they read this part of the Valmiki's Ramayana, they'll be shocked to the core how he can be God. Because Lord Ram's dilemma, Lord Ram's ordeal, Lord Ram's pain continues. Because he has not seen Mother Sita, he comes to Kadamba tree. He starts talking to the Kadamba. He talks to the Arjuna tree. He talks to the Kukuba tree. He talks to Tilaka, Ashoka, Tala, Jamuna, Kanera, Mango, Jackfruit. All these trees is personally going and finding something which resembles Sita Devi. Some part of her body limbs. He is being tortured in the separation of Sita Devi. Right? And then suddenly he has this feeling that she's hiding behind the tree wearing the yellow color pitambari. And he calls for her, "Where are you? Why are you doing this to me? I'm hurt, I'm pained. Don't do like this to me." Right? Then he realized actually Sita Devi is not there. Then he goes to the deer and he says, "Hey deer, your eyes are exactly like my Sita's eyes. Have you seen my dear wife?" Then he went to Gaja, the elephant. Then he went to Vyagra. Right? When he was not able to find Sita Devi, he fell almost unconscious, losing himself, telling Lakshman, "Lakshman, how will I tell anyone that I have lost Sita Devi? I could not protect her. When you go back to Ayodhya, you have to go alone because I cannot come back. In fact, I will not survive more than 2 muhurta without Sita Devi. If I cannot see her within 2 muhurtas, I will not survive in this world. Without her, I cannot live. I will die." Then you go back to Ayodhya, my dear Lakshman, and tell Mother Kaikai to be happy with her son being the king. And you tell the story to my mother Kaushalya completely what happened. Lord Ram started weeping. "I think I must have done great crime in my last life. Otherwise, why is that I am experiencing so much of pain? Pain after pain, pain after pain, pain after pain. It must be because I had done something wrong in my past life." What Lord Ram is doing? He is speaking like a ordinary human being. And Lakshman, seeing the pain of Lord Ramachandra, certainly he was losing himself. Because every time when Lakshman would be upset, express his anger, express his frustration, it was Sri Ram who would make him composed. He would advise him, he would give him good knowledge. But here Lakshman had to give that to Lord Ramachandra. He said, "My dear Lord, my brother, you are the most sober person. I've never seen you becoming so lamentable. You are always self-controlled. You are sober, you are stable, you are steady. But the way you are acting, it does not befit your quality. Let us try finding Sita Devi. We will look for her. We will find her." They went looking for everywhere. Then again, Ramachandra was going through so much of pain. Now, because Lord Ram is certainly acting as a human, but is also great warrior and is also avatar. Then he made a very interesting point. He said to Lakshman, "My dear Lakshman, even if you are Tripurari Vijay, Lord Shiva Maheshwar, when you show compassion, when you show kindness, when you're always doing something good to others, that very quality will be exploited by others. I think that is what is happening with me. And nobody is trying to help me. Today I will show my power. I will destroy the Kinnaras, Charanas, Gandharvas, Devatas, Manushas, because they are not helping me to find Sita Devi." Right? So Lord Ram was ready to destroy. Lakshman again pleaded from Lord Ram, He said, do not do this. We will find her. We will look for her. By saying, again he stopped Lord Ram, and eventually they came to Gridraraj, Jatayu. Seeing Jatayu's condition, right? Jatayu was lying there with broken wings, bleeding everywhere. Sri Ram felt, oh my God, this vulture must have eaten up my Sita Devi. He was about to attack Jatayu. And Jatayu, with great difficulty and challenges, he told the entire story of how Ravan kidnapped Sita Devi, how he fought. And then he gave some relief to Lord Ram. And what was that relief? He said, my dear Ram, this Ravan does not know. Ravan kidnapped Sita Devi during the Vindhya Muhurta. Whenever you lose something during this Muhurta, it is for certain whatever you have lost, that will come back to you. So therefore, do not worry. And Jatayu continued to speak. He said, my dear Ram, the person who was responsible to kill me, Ravan, and the Aushadhi which will benefit you. Who is that Aushadhi? The separation of Lord Ram is his disease. And what is the medicine which he will be cured? The medicine for his separation is Sita Devi. And that has been taken away by Ravan to Lanka. Right? When Jatayu spoke this, Ram wanted to hear more from Jatayu. Right? It is like the movie only where you need to hear more. There is some information, but not complete information. Lord Ram was saying, speak more, speak more, speak more. But Jatayu could not speak more, and he lost his life while performing his duty. Right? And Lord Ram said to Lakshman, Lakshman, the pain of losing my father's friend, Jatayu, is much greater than experiencing the separation of Sita Devi. Both are painful, but instantly at this moment that someone laid his life fighting for somebody else, even though he was not in capacity, he was incapacitated. Ravan was powerful, having such a great power, but Jatayu confronted him, fought with him, tried to teach him, gave him instruction also. And the most important part is Jatayu doing all these things. One commentator explains that Ravan had kidnapped Sita Devi in a particular muhurta, hoping that Sita Devi can never be found back to the original owner. But Ravan did not realize there is a greater ingredient, more higher than muhurta. Of course, we have to respect the muhurta because these are all shastric references. But there is something greater than muhurta. When there is a sincere endeavor from the person like Jatayu, the human endeavor stands higher than all the time factor. Therefore, in the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam, that great Avanti Brahmana, he explained, na kala, na karma, na graha, na devatatma. He said, none of these people are responsible for my pain. Manam karanam amananti. He said, the very mind is responsible. And when that mind, with the intellect, with Purushartha, Jatayu, what he did? He changed the muhurta what Ravan had kept and made a favorable muhurta also with a human endeavor. And from there, by giving that assurance to Sri Ramachandra, he parted from this world, being completely mesmerized by Sri Ram. Ram took Jatayu on his lap and he spoke to Jatayu to go to that place which is very clean, very pure. And he performed the last rites which he could not do for his father. Jatayu got it, Dashrath Maharaj did not get it. Right? So when you see this story, or in the future also, when Sri Ramachandra actually saw Mother Sita enter into the Bhumi Devi, his outburst is unimaginable. He has the separation of the gopis and he also power of avatara. When that separation is combined with feeling of the pain and having the power to punish the culprit, that combination itself is an avatara tattva. What is avatara tattva? The avatara tattva is not like the Supreme Lord residing in the spiritual world, right? At the same time, when he comes here, he is not a human being. See, Vibhuti is different from avatara. Vibhuti is like some exceptional human being exhibiting great qualities for some time. That is Vibhuti. But avatara is not a human. At the same time, avatara is not someone who exhibits all the qualities of Bhagavan all the time when he appears in this world. The contradiction is the profound concept only presented in the Sanatan Dharma. You cannot find this, therefore it is but natural for the Abrahamic people to be bewildered by this concept of Sri Ramachandra. It is for sure for them to be bewildered by the concept of Sri Krishna. Why? Because like no other avatara, Lord Narsinghdev comes and exhibits power and goes back. Vamandev comes and steals everything and he goes back. Matsya avatar, right, saves Satyavrat Maharaj and goes back. None of the avatars came back, stayed here for as long as the human beings stay and perform human activities, and within that human activities also show the avatarahood. So therefore it is a very fascinating concept when you try to understand deeply. When you get into it, then you are so fascinated. So avatara's one reason for avatara to be like that is to become accessible to everyone. That is called as saulabhyatvam. Imagine you have a sun god and he appears with all his glories. Forget coming close to us. Even if he comes little closer to the earthly planet or the entire universe, it will burn to ashes. And if he goes little further away from us, everything will fall apart, frozen to death. Just understand the same principle in regards to avatar. If the Supreme Lord stays in the spiritual world, we have no access. We only have an abstract idea. Right? If you study, like other day, we were having a beautiful DT welcoming. And many nice Karnataka singer, Hindustani, they were singing beautiful bhajans, glorifying Krishna. And there were hundreds of such songs. Imagine how can you use same principle for someone who is not an avatar only? You have no concept of God having a father, mother, performing different kinds of beautiful stories. What kind of song can you write other than abstractly glorifying about his power to create? It does not specially touch the heart. There is no interaction, there is no relationship. Therefore, if avatar is purely Godhood, you will not be able to relate. If avatar is pure human being, that is also creates a mundaneness. But when that avatar is a harmony between Manushya and avatar, Divyatva, the kind of excitement, the kind of fascination, the kind of transcendental anxiety he creates is unmatchable to this. If you remember in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, that Brahman He was fasting because he felt that Sita Devi was touched by Ravan. He couldn't take that. This story happened thousands of years ago, but he was experiencing the anxiety now. That is the beauty of Avatar. King Kulashekar, right, when he was hearing the narration of Lord Ram's pastime, they would not narrate certain particular pastime to Kulashekar, knowing very well that he would enter into the pastime. But one day, the narrator's son was narrating the story, and he spoke about Lord Ram had to attack Ravan, and Kulashekar, rather than listening, he took his horse and he was entering into the ocean. That to stop him. Same thing with Parikshit Maharaj also, when he was listening to the story of Krishna, was in the lap of his mother inside the house also, and Putana came. He was in great anxiety because he's a Kshatriya. Right? In that anxiety, he wanted to protect Krishna, but this story happened at least 50, 60 years or 80, 100 years ago. But Parikshit was getting into the mood of trying to be there in that part of the story. And knowing this, Shukadeva Goswami, he said, hey Parikshit, he said, forget the Rakshasas, forget the Pishachis. Only by remembering the names of Krishna, all the Pishachis disappeared. Right? So the beauty of Ram Leela as an avatar, it has the power for you to be participant. You want to be actively contributor in the Leela, not to enjoy it, not only being only absorbed, but to do something for Shri Ram. Therefore, Maricha does not ever make sense to the devotees of Lord Ram. Right? He can never make any sense. Rather, anyone who is doing anything for Ram's cause, it doesn't matter which time, whether it is Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Kali Yuga, if they want to do something, and therefore Ramdas Swami said, Samartha Ramdas. Samartha Ramdas means what? A devotee of Lord Ram is a competent enough, capable enough to do something good to Lord Ram. And therefore, when we study the scriptures, our Mahabharata, Ramayana and Bhagavatam, we understand. And specifically in regards to Ramayana, the stories when all the devatas were tormented by Ravan. And because Ravan was tormenting everybody, it is but natural that devatas would go to Lord Vishnu. And after visiting Lord Vishnu told them, yes, I will come down. And he asked the devatas, what should I do? And the devatas told him, my dear Lord, you have to come as a human being. Why did Lord Narayan, Lord Krishna, Lord Vishnu, however one wants to take, can use that name, decided to come as a human being? Because when Ravan performed his tapasya, after performing his tapasya for a long time, when Brahmaji appeared to him, he wanted to become immortal, just like Hiranyakashipu. But with a little twist. Ravan asked the benediction from our Brahmaji that nobody should kill him. And he said, but please bear this in mind. I do not want the benediction of being protected by the human beings and monkeys. They are no match for me. If I seek benediction from being protected by them, it is below my dignity. I will manage them. I will destroy them easily. What did Ravan do here? Ravan not only asked the benediction, but actually he was speaking something antithesis. He was defying a core principle of human value. What is that human value? The human value is that the human beings have limitless potential. In the Bhagavad Gita, one of the most encouraging verse, Krishna says, Rasam apsu kauntaya prabhasmi shashishurya pranavas sarva vedeshu shabdake paurusha nrishu. And Prabhupada translates. Many times we miss this one. What is that? I am the ability in man. Think about this. This verse, I am the ability in man. Man means here Purushartha. Anyone who performs Purushartha, he has the masculine energy. He is not focusing on gender. He is focusing on the act of valor. Right? And what does Krishna tell Arjuna? And where does the Gita comes from? Gita comes from the knowledge which was given by Lord Narayan to sun god. And in turn it was given to Raghu, the ancestors of Lord Ramachandra. And therefore, when Ravan asked for this benediction, I do not want benediction from being killed by humans and kapis, he did not remember the power of living entity. And therefore, this verse of Krishna, when he says, I am the ability in man, when somebody exhibits certain exceptional qualities, capacity, power, resources, one can see it as an obstacle to the path of progress. One can see it as a Maya. But Krishna is wanting to give us a higher vision. And what is that higher vision? The higher vision is that capacity is nothing but a representation of Lord himself. Shabdake paurusha nrishu. And therefore, when Ravan asked for this benediction, that I don't want to be killed, Ram said, okay, I will come here. I will come as a human being. I will come here as a human being. And after coming as a human being, I will show the power of human potential. How much a human being can endure. How much he can do great things. So Lord Ram therefore forced himself maryada, boundaries, limitations, right? And therefore in Valmiki's Ramayana, certainly, as we were discussing yesterday, one of the great difference between Valmiki's Ramayana and other great devotees also, like Tulsidas and Kamba Ramayana, they instantly, constantly remind us the power, position of Lord Ram as Lord Narayan. One great Vaishnava teacher mentioned, why Valmiki's Ramayana is the foundational principle to maintain this idea of avatarahood, right? But representing more a human aspect. And he gave a very good example. He said, imagine you are watching a drama. While watching the drama, your son is acting as a beggar sometimes. He's acting as Hanuman some other time. He's acting as a poor person some other time. So when he's acting, he knows very well that he is not a beggar. He knows very well that he is not a poor man. He knows very well that he is not such and such person. But when he's acting that role, the mood, the spirit, the dramatization that role makes him completely get involved in that role. Right? Even you are as an audience watching this drama, you know that person, you know that actor. He may be your brother, he may be your sister, she may be your sister, she may be somebody to you. But what do? You also cry tears watching that drama. And imagine if that person is your son, if the mother is watching that drama and repeatedly telling the fellow people who are watching the drama, hey, that is my son. Actually, he's not a beggar. You know what? He's not a beggar. He's my son. He's very good. He's very educated. What that lady is doing, she is giving the knowledge about the identity of her son, but spoiling the entire drama altogether. She is not the right person in regards to be a partner to watch a drama with, because she is causing some intrusion into the spirit, the mood of the drama. Now imagine what a role the Supreme Lord has to play, where his emotion is completely involved in the human affair. But he is not a human. There is no bewilderment. Right? Buddhi say, in the intellect, you know that you are not a human being. But in the bhava, you are not in the mode of being God. Similarly for a devotee, similarly for a yogi, similarly for a jnani, one who's proper jnani, when he's studying Ramayana, Valmiki's Ramayana, maintaining this balance between the emotions of being tearful about what happened to Lord Ram in the forest, like Parikshit Maharaj went through, like Kulashekar went through, like that Brahmana went through. But at the same time, knowing that he is the Supreme Lord. On the background, you should know that is avatara. In the forefront, you should know he's acting as a human. And when you are involved in this beautiful drama, what does it do? It creates great impact, causing limitless transformation in the heart. And secondly, another purpose of this drama, it teaches you that how much a human potential is there, how much human being can grow higher and achieve perfection. Therefore, Ram Leela is all about ideal leadership. Right? In that ideal leadership, the challenges, the difficulties, like Jatayu, for example, he chose to die protecting Sita Devi, then choosing to live, justifying his limitations, saying that what can I do? I was an old man. And therefore Ramayana becomes more and more pertinent. I remember a few days ago, I'd gone to somebody's place and there was one socialist asking this question. कि रामायण में तो अग्नि परीक्षा है, right? There is an Agni Pariksha of his wife, and what a bad example to set. You know how many people were basically tortured because of this episode in the Ramayana. I said, give me example from the traditional family perspective where husband were putting their wife into the fire. You don't have any example. In fact, because they read Ramayana, they were able to live the life of sacrifice, commitment, valor. Nowadays, because people are not reading Ramayana, they are putting their husband in the cement box or killing their girlfriend, chopping them and putting in the refrigerator. There is so much of selfishness, right? And because of such selfishness, what does it do? It does not take them to become Rakshasas in the human form only. Not even achieving the great tapasya like Ravan. Ravan achieved great tapasya. He achieved whatever he achieved by hard work, but he misused. But here very reactive, and because of that reactive behavior, more people are suffering and they have no clue to Ramayana. They have no clue to Jatayu. They have no clue to Sugriv. In fact, whatever they know about it, they know from the wrong sources. Therefore, The beauty of this concept, again, when we study the Valmiki's Ramayana, one of the fascinating quality of Valmiki Ramayana, what does Ramayana teach us? Of course, Lord Ram is teaching as the human potential, but it teaches one more thing, the explanation of the same verse, that more than Daiva, more than depending upon the destiny, when you put your efforts, the whole concept of Daivavad and Karmavad is very fascinating concept. When do I believe in Daiva? When nothing is within my control. When there is nothing within my control, you cannot have any guesswork about why it is happening, what is going to happen. Then it is important for one to say, I think it is in my destiny. I think this was in my destiny. But if everything is within your control, you know why it is happening and what you could do about it. So if you do not use your valor, your purushartha, and say this is a destiny, then it is antithesis. It is not Ramayana you are studying. You are studying something else. Remember, there are many evidences, stories in the history of Bharat where people went through a lot of torture. The temples were broken. And sometime, unfortunately, unevolved people, they will say it was also will of God. This had to happen. Ramayana does not accept this. If this is what the will of God, he will come and tell you this is my will. In fact, by teaching Ramayana, Lord Ram is teaching us that whenever there is injustice, and you know if it is injustice, you have to stand like Jatayu. And this is a very interesting concept we will bring here. The great philosophers in the Western world, we are talking about those who did not accept Christianity. In the Greek philosopher, they coined this two understanding of morality: the herd morality and the hero morality. In this herd morality and slave morality and hero morality, one is called as heron moral and herden moral. Very interesting concept. And unfortunately, many times, our personalities, our characters, our shastras are unconsciously, consciously influenced by these ideas, wherein we believe that everything will be taken care by God. I don't need to do anything. I need to work as less as possible. I need to put efforts less as possible. I don't have to organize. I don't have to systematize. If there is no clear idea, just say God will take care. This is not the theory of Valmiki's Ramayana. And one philosopher explains that if you study carefully, that this herd morality, what is herd morality? Herd morality means just because you are a party to some group, you are part of a group, and therefore if you are part of a group, you become equally qualified as much as somebody else is more qualified. Just by showing your alliance, I'm part of this person, therefore I'm as good as him. The artificial equality was created because of the herd morality. And this author explained, the valuation was brought to peak by Jesus, with him every man of equal worth, equal rights. Democracy, utilitarian, and socialism was introduced. The communistic philosophy. The meritocracy was condemned and slandered. If somebody shows good quality, the showing of the good quality is considered as atrocity against those who do not have. You must have heard recently some of the politicians making that the whole concept of giving grades itself is an abuse. Hmm? One of the politicians talked about this. In some of the universities in America, they wanted to introduce this concept that the very reason certain subjects are tough, that means these are introduced by the elitists to separate equal opportunity for human being. So they want to create such a mediocrity, destroy the human potential. Very, very dangerous philosophy. Therefore, all the Vaishnavas in our Vaishnava literature also are not of the equal stature. We respect everyone as Vaishnava, but in fact, the Shastras recommend to respect them according to the level of their credibility, their advancement. If you fail to do that, if you try to make everyone the same, that itself is a wrong behavior. Therefore, imagine how important this concept of Purushartha is. Right? And therefore, when Hanumanji, why did Lord Ram specially bless Hanumanji? We'll discuss tomorrow about the communication. But this part we will not be discussing tomorrow. Hanumanji, when Lord Ram had to look for Mother Sita, the four party was divided: south, north, east, west. Why do you think Lord Ram gave that special jewelry to Hanumanji only and sent him to the southern direction? Because Jatayu had given some indication. Everybody knew about Ravan's whereabouts. Why was he sent to the southern direction? It was not only about Hanumanji's sincerity. It was not only about Hanumanji's devotion. Hanumanji had the devotion, and Hanumanji also had the special capacity to do what Lord Ram wanted. Right? So therefore, when all the kapis, they gathered near the ocean, realizing that the distance from the place where they are and to reach Ashoka Vatika, it was 100 yojana. Please understand, it is a very vital information, very important information. The kapis knew their capacity. They did not fall to the trap of, along with the order of our counselor, along with the order of our teacher, along in the order of some senior like our parents, our capacity does not increase. If we are really sincere, it only helps us to discover what is my level of capacity. That is also sincerity. They were not overly enthusiastic to do something in the name of Lord Ram and try to artificially to be same as Hanumanji. It's a very profound story to prove this point. And what did they say? Every one of them very clear the goal has to be achieved. But they also realize I have the less capacity. I can only jump 10 yojanas. I can only jump 20 yojanas. I can only jump 30 yojanas. This is the beauty of Valmiki's Ramayana. Valmiki's Ramayana does not artificially pump your capacity when you don't have, just because you have some faith. And that is that what unfortunately, according to this Western philosopher, the Abrahamic religion do, and that is called as herd morality. Herd morality means everybody is equal to each other. But in the Dharma Shastras, in the Vedic literature, when you realize that I am less than Hanumanji, you are not insincere. You are as sincere as Hanumanji. But your sincerity is not sufficient to achieve that goal. In the Mahabharata also, the same principle, because they follow the same structure. Because Krishna is an avatar, whatever one wants to say. When Arjuna asked Krishna, my dear Lord, who will win between Duryodhan and Bhima? Krishna did not tell him, In the Abrahamic religion, there is a concept of the faith can move the mountain. The Vedic literature will say faith will not move the mountain. You need Shraddha, but along with Shraddha, you also have to discover yourself. What is yourself? How much it has the capacity. The squirrel has its work, but the squirrel cannot build a bridge. Squirrel is a participatory, it's a participating in the building the bridge. It has the role to play, but it does not have the role like Hanumanji has the role. So when all the kapis, they explained their capacity, that was not being insincere. Because they were able to understand their capacity, Jambavan realized there is someone amongst us who has the greater capacity. And Jambavan reminded Hanumanji the potential what he has in this world, in this life, in this body. He can do what others cannot do it. And the kapis were not at all envious of Hanumanji. Sometime in the community of spiritual practitioners, one of the reason for envy is to believe that I am as good as somebody else also, because even I am a devotee, even I believe in God, right? But here Hanumanji, when he came down, he expanded his form, he proved his credibility, he spoke to all the kapis how great he was, and all the kapis exceptionally happy with him. You don't find anybody become envious. Jambavan, Angad, he was the prince, right? You don't hear him speak anything. And Hanumanji encouraged everybody. He jumped across. He found Mother Sita. When Sita Devi asked him, my dear Hanuman, how is it possible for anybody to come here? That same Hanumanji had a great capacity. He had the humbleness also. He had a humility. He said, my dear Sita Devi, he said, in the army of Sugriv, there is no one inferior to me. Everyone either equal to me or superior to me. Therefore, you don't have to worry. It was a lie, but it was the truth also. Right? It was a truth. How they will come, that is not important, but they will all come. And Hanumanji proved he was right, even though he was wrong. So this concept of avatarahood, what does it do? It gives rise to limitless power as you grow in life. And limitless power means understanding one's capacity. Right? Therefore, this he explained, if you study the pagan religion, this one philosopher, Nietzsche, he said, if you study the pagan religion, Sanatana Dharma also falls into the pagan religion according to the Abrahamic people. What is the greatest value for the pagan people, the dharmic people, is honor. Right? Their honor is the most powerful thing. They would not accept anything. Like in the Mahabharata, at one point of time, Balramji, Satyaki, and Krishna followed them. They all came to the forest where the Pandavas had completed about 7, 8 years, 9 years maybe. Balramji said, this is not good, they should stay here. They should come back to Dwarka. It's not good for them to stay in the forest. So Balramji offered, Satyaki offered, my dear Yudhishthir, you have been suffering in this forest for many years. I would prefer you to come and stay in Dwarka. We will build a palace for you. We'll provide all the facilities for you. What do you think Yudhishthira Maharaj said? Original Guru is offering the grace. Satyaki is there. Krishna is standing there. Right, he's standing there. Rather than accepting those resources as the grace of Balaramji, Krishna would have not said anything. Instead of saying, yes, my dear Balramji, we are tired of this, our Yudhishthir said, I will earn by my own endeavor. Main mere hi prayas se, by my own endeavor, I will achieve this. I'll get back my kingdom. And then Krishna immediately told, Balramji, I told you he will not accept it. That is dharmic honor. You will not accept anything which comes at the cost of not putting your efforts and endeavor. You don't become a scholar, you don't become a great personality, you don't become a great devotee suddenly, abruptly. It's a progressive life. Therefore, Valmiki Maharshi performed tapasya for thousands of years. And somebody has not done anything, certainly knows how to write. Now, Chat GPT is there, you write books, right? We are not talking about a devotee will always give all the credit to Valmiki Maharshi. There are many so-called scholars, so-called intellectuals, bereft of grace and the understanding of divinity, they will write these slanderous comments. Right? When we will discuss Ravana, one of the story which came recently means last few years it is moving, like somebody wrote this article, again a feminist, that what you want as a brother or a sister. A mother is asking her daughter, she was a pregnant, do you want a brother like Ram or like Ravan? And this girl said, I want a brother like Ravan. Mother was shocked. She said, how can you say like this? So this girl is telling her mother, Mummy, why should I have Ram when he renounced his wife? I would prefer Ravan because of his sister, he allowed his entire Lanka to be burnt. For the sake of sister, he lost his life. He destroyed his entire Lanka to protect his sister. I said, I want Ravan as my brother. Mother said, oh God, you enlightened me. I was so stupid all these years, all this generation, wanting to have son like Ram, but now you have enlightened me. Imagine. And people, Hindus, pious Hindus, forwarding this story and saying, what a perspective. Never thought about it. No, you're eating. We don't have to say that you have lost your brain by not understanding this concept properly, because the story is written with great speculation, without even inch of tapasya, not understanding this concept properly, right? You are glorifying Ravana, who basically spoke so ill about Sita Devi in the assembly, in the Lanka's assembly spoke. We will discuss that. So therefore, when we study that one of the most important quality for the followers of Sanatan Dharma, that they will not receive anything in the name of grace if it is not, they are not supposed to receive, if they are not qualified for it. Any position, any post, right? Just because you are a follower, you are not supposed to receive, because it will only be a counterproductive. And then came the Roman. They created this feudal aristocracy. Whether you are there or not, just because you are born, you are qualified. Somebody worked hard, but it continues to the next generation, next generation. But unless you put that effort, therefore, again, in the dharmic tradition, if you are a son of a king, you never stayed in the palace in your childhood. Because if you stay in the palace in your childhood, the very son of the king becomes so fragile. We see the rich families, because they continue to live in their family without going through the rigor of their father and their mother, they lose the credibility of bargaining power if they are business people. If they're the politician, they lose the ground level of reality. They become so useless, right? And then came the concept of always feeling guilty in the Jewish tradition. Always feeling guilty about everything. Therefore, again, in the dharmic tradition, Lord Ram or Hanumanji, Very interesting principle, that when we say I am the servant of the servant of the servant, but the concept of servant of the servant of the servant, if it is not born out of the foundational principle of aham brahmasmi, I am full of knowledge, I am full of bliss, I am full of eternality. That is the foundational principle for the living entity. With that foundation, like Hanumanji jumped across, performed Herculean task, right? There was all the reason for him to become proud, because nobody could do that. He said, only me and Garuda can do this. Hanuman is boasting like that, but when he comes to Sita Devi, he has the courage, he has the humility, he has the beautiful heart to say, there is no one in our army who is inferior to me. So therefore, only being submissive servant without contributing something, where feeling that I have something to contribute, what does it do? It creates limitless pain. And therefore, if you study, there are so many researches are done. When people with faith, when they are condemning themselves to such an extent, they have a psychiatric problem. But if you read Valmiki's Ramayana harmonizes between your capacity and your humility. Psychologically, if you study, there is a Manasa Shastra also in Ramayana, and therefore the Jyotish Shastra, which we are going to discuss also, talks about your astitva, your identity, something to contribute. If you cannot contribute, that gives rise to some kind of pain. And on that pain, if you give only the philosophy of being nothing, you literally become nothing, right? So therefore, that harmony of I have something to contribute. And therefore, the good news for the dharmic people is that I am not originally sinful. I became sinful in the middle of creation somewhere. But my original identity is I am full of knowledge, full of bliss, full of eternality. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabunai. The living entity has a natural attraction to Krishna, but it is covered over. Right? And therefore, when we understand this very clearly, that this guilt feeling all the time is not beneficial. Therefore, Lord Ram, beautiful, when he saw Ravan first time. When Hanumanji saw Ravan first time, what was their understanding? They did not see Ravan as a sinner. They saw Ravan as a potential leader. Imagine Lord Ram is seeing Ravan after many months going through great suffering caused by Ravan, and the first encounter he sees the potential in Ravan. Same thing happened with Hanumanji also. Sita Devi told, knowing the pride of Ravan, rather than asking him to surrender to Ram, she told, become a friends with Ram. These are the powerful nuances are there in our Shastra. We should not bring the concept of Abrahamic ideas where a living entity is completely useless. The growth of Europe did not happen because of Christianity. It happened because in the 15th century there was a rebel. There was a pure materialism came, unfortunately. Right? But in the dharmic tradition, when there is a harmony between prayas and prasad, 18.14, Krishna is speaking to Arjun, 5 causes for success, human endeavor and God's grace. Right? Therefore, the avatara tattva's contribution is not only to establish dharma, it is not only to establish, killing of the demons. In fact, it creates a legacy of potential of the living entities. Therefore, it is a great subject, great understanding, and therefore, when we study this very clearly, then what happens? In our limitation, we will find our potential. And when that potential is there, when you have something good to offer to Krishna, if you can offer something good, if you can offer something nice, rather than saying, I will only offer my heart. Yes, that is also accepted. It could be a one flower, but something tangible. The the ingredient, the process of offering our heart happens through some ingredient. And therefore, when Hanumanji, we brought that news to Lord Ramachandra, what did Lord Ram do? He was celebrating. He embraced Hanumanji. And everyone, you can imagine, they could have complained. Valmiki Ramayana doesn't mention anything about the Kapis becoming envious of Hanumanji, because they knew that we are also the sincere followers of Ram and Sugriv, but we will celebrate Hanumanji's success. Lord Ram embraced Hanumanji and he said, Hanumanji, what you have done, I cannot repay. Even for 5 lifetimes, if I try to do this, I will not be able to repay. And therefore, the beauty of avatara, however much we learn, it is so fascinating philosophically, spiritually, socially, psychologically, devotionally, it is so profound. And therefore, only the Bhagavad Gita, only the Puranas, only the Ramayana, that discuss the concept of avatara in the most profound way. The harmony of understanding and harmony of devotion, bhava. Bhava और ज्ञान का जो समन्वय है, when that samanvay is there between bhava and jnana so beautifully, then what does it do? It is not simply 5,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago. The avatara tattva is always relevant. There, Krishna spoke to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, yada yadai dharmasya glani. Not it had happened 1,000 years ago. Yada yadai dharmasya glani. Whenever there is a decline in dharma, and what is that decline in dharma? In our understanding also about avatara, about the human potential. Yada yadai dharmasya glani. Abhyuttanam adharmasya tadatmanam srujamyaham. I come again and again. What a profound, hope-giving statement by the avatara tattva. With this, we will stop, and tomorrow we will study beautiful art of communication in the Valmiki's Ramayana, focusing on Hanumanji, the great communicator, how Lord Ram became fascinated by Hanumanji. Tell me where you find, in which literature other than the dharmic literature, where God becomes the fan of his own servant. Thank you for your kind attention. Any questions or comments? Yeah, there are 2-3 questions here. Yeah, somebody asked this question, scriptures like Adhyatma Ramayana, Adbhuta Ramayana, although mention is there as Valmiki Maharaj, why is this scriptures are famous? I think we touched upon this answer today only. Valmiki is Valmiki. His exceptional writing focused on deep analysis of what we discussed about Avatara Tattva. No other scripture in regards to Ram Lila can match. Even the great Shukadev Goswami, he does not take away the credit from Valmiki's Maharshi's Ramayana and only summarizes as less as possible, to not to take away the credit. And of course, he was eager to narrate the last part of stories of pastimes of Krishna to Parikshit Maharaj also. So we'll stop here if you don't have any questions.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for a beautiful understanding of how Bhagwan shows humanness. There's so much to learn, for us to learn, to lead, to love. Prabhuji, I have a question. You spoke about that divinity shows humanness. You spoke about that divinity shows humanness. How can we see divinity in human beings?
Yes. There's the question, we lost you.
You can hear me, Prabhuji?
Yeah.
So, Prabhuji, Lord Ram showed humanness in his divinity. How do we see divinity in humanness?
Yes, that is what again the whole entire Hanumanji is showing that, and many other characters. In fact, if you read the works of Tulsidas, the kind of compilation he did, even the great souls like Vibhuti, Yadyad Vibhuti Mat Sattvam. That's what Krishna is saying. When you see the special qualities in ordinary human being, that is nothing but, I am the ability in man. That's what I'm saying. That's what we are discussing. If you find that ability, if you find the potential, therefore, what does Avatara Tattva do? Avatara Tattva always finds hope in living entities. Oh, there is something they can do. If they are trained, if they are educated properly, then 100% they can show some qualities which are admirable. So therefore, seeing divinity means following the concept of Krishna is given in the Bhagavad Gita, reading these scriptures, understanding and applying and exhibiting and experiencing ourselves. Oh, there is an element of uh, divinity which has been expressing through me also. That is my good fortune. That's what 7 point, the verse I spoke about, the Shabdake Paurusham Drashu. And therefore, the honor, the capacity when the living entity offers, not as a separate identity as God. Ravan saw himself as a challenger to God. But Ram saw divinity in Ravan. Please understand that. Ravana was only thinking, I am powerful. But Ram, knowing very well he was a criminal, but when he saw him first time, what did he see? Oh, there is something which is very special in Ravan. Hanumanji also saw that. When everybody was rejecting Vibhishan, right, Lord Ram saw that great potential in Vibhishan. Master stroke. Same thing with Sugriv. Sugriv was inferior to Vali, but Lord Ram saw Sugriv to be the next king properly. Like one of the names of Srimati Radharani is Krishnamai. What is Krishnamai means? One who sees Krishna consciousness in wherever she puts her head. जहां कहीं अपनी दृष्टि को डालती है, wherever she puts her vision, she finds that spiritual touch. Therefore, I think somebody had asked Prabhupada, right, how many devotees are there in India? I said everybody is Krishna's devotee. From a number perspective, that was not a right answer. But from the scriptural perspective, his understanding of the Shastra, right, he gave a profound philosophical answer. Everybody. There is no one, right, in the non-Sanatan dharma, Some living entities will go eternally to hell. Imagine what kind of idea is that? Like all the 80 crore Hindus, 100 crore Hindus who do not follow their way of life will all go to hell. But if you ask the followers of Sanatan Dharma, they will never say the followers of Islam, the follower of Christianity, the followers of Jewish faith will go to hell forever. They will also find the same potential as much as somebody else has. Now it may not be manifested. They may not be good instrument today, but they have the potential to be the good instrument. Therefore, the dharmic tradition, when it is implemented, it has the greater potential to unite people, greater potential to appreciate people beyond your personal, uh, you know, category of caste or race or civilization. Why? Because Sanatan Dharma, Vaishnavism teaches you to see the potential of the living entity beyond their superficial ideology, faith, or whatever it is.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
So we'll stop here. Thank you.
Yeah. We meet tomorrow at the same time.
Yeah, 7 o'clock.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.